My name's Mark Harris. I've been qualified as a midwife since 1994. I was married for 20 odd years before my wife died of cancer. I have 5 biological children and 1 adopted son. I have 6 grandchildren. You know, people often say to me that your contraception advice must be rubbish. I remember my youngest daughter once said to me, "If I get pregnant by accident, you will support me, won't you?" I said to her, "Abby, you really don't understand accident. You don't get a penis there by accident. But if you choose to have sex without using barrier methods of contraception, of course I'll support you." You've asked me whether being a father and a grandfather influences my work, and it really does. I think what influences my work more than that, if you like, is being in the context of a woman giving birth and listening to men tell me and communicate to me through their body language that they feel on the outside, that they feel powerless and ill-prepared to be there. Now, I was involved with a discussion that Michel Odent was involved with in the week about whether men should be present at birth or not. Now, you've asked me that question via Dennis. Dennis once said that he wasn't sure whether there should be male midwives, and me and Dennis kind of worked together, and we've known each other for 25 years. He's my best friend. I left midwifery at one point because of the feminist literature and the implications of a man being present, actually stripping women of power just by his presence. And my thinking has evolved somewhat. We exist in a context where 98% of births have a male partner present, apparently. And whether we believe from an evolutionary point of view that men should be present at birth or not is kind of superfluous in a way because of what we have before us, which is men are now present and assume that they're going to be. So in that context, and given my experience of being at birth of my own children and being at the birth of so many children where the fathers feel that they lack power or lack a role or lack some kind of thing to do, that's what caused Birthing for Blokes to be born. It's about informing and preparing a man to be present at birth, to be present for his partner, his lover, so that she can have the space, if you like. He kind of creates the space by his presence so that she can birth into it. You know, some of the work that I'm doing at the moment is exploring themes around masculine and feminine energy. We all have the experience of meeting women or men, a man who is rich in feminine energy as his essence, and a woman who is rich in masculine energy as her essence. You know, masculine and feminine energy, to my mind, is not a gender issue. It supersedes gender. You know, we all have masculine and feminine energies inside of us. We have an essence which is either masculine or feminine, which is sort of like baseline way of responding. And this is some of the things I'm writing and thinking about at the moment. I think that the best people to be with women as they birth in terms of their supporters are women who are rich, you know, in feminine energy. I think me and Dennis have got away with it over the years because we have a feminine energy dominance in this area and are able to give that kind of feminine, inspired and enriched support. So in answer to that question, I think it's work probably best left to women. But when it comes to my work now focuses on supporting men who are there in the birthplace, supporting their lovers. I think you've asked me a question here about whether men have responded to me differently because I'm the same sex as them. You know, I'm a very talkative person, and given half a chance, I will be taken up with talking. Now, we all know that the kind of optimum environment for birth is one that allows a woman to dip into that primeval part of her brain that is responsible for the release of the hormones that inspire effective birth, oxytocin. And we know that not engaging her neocortex is the way to go. No questioning, minimal talking, quiet, dark, warm, intimate. And so I've always had to put a check on my desire to talk a lot. And men often want to talk to me and relate to me in the context of being with their wives as a distraction. And I find men tend to respond in at least two ways. One, the spike of adrenaline inside of them causes them to respond aggressively or apparently aggressively. Now, we know that adrenaline evolutionarily would have been there in order for them to protect the birthing space, so that the woman they love didn't experience feelings of fear, which we know inhibits the birthing process. So some men respond to this feeling of being powerless and out of control by being aggressive, by challenging every decision, by using the knowledge they've got in order to question too much. And then there are another group of men that seek to distract themselves from this sense of powerlessness. They play their game, watch a video, read books, make jokes, want to talk. And these are the sort of broad categories I've found. And what Birthing for Blokes does is seek to introduce a man to the idea that he can be present beyond the drama, beyond his own internal conversation about what's going on. And that as he stands as presence itself, as being present to her, she then experiences him as such. And it releases her from any need to stay in control, if you like, so that the primeval hormones can have their way. I think the new NICE guidelines around place of birth are very interesting, very productive, and hopefully we'll see a long-standing shift in terms of the birth environments that women get to birth in. I'm a little bit cynical about it because 20 years ago when I started midwifery, we were excited about the Winterton report and Changing Childbirth, which was recommending widespread changes to how maternity services were delivered. And let's be honest, me and Dennis sit chatting over a beer and we kind of remonstrate about the fact that there hasn't really been much in the way of broad spectrum changes within maternity care, and that distresses us. But then when you look back further to 1971, the Peel report, you see that the Peel report, and here's the very wording of the report, recommended 100% hospital confinement. There's a Freudian slip if ever you heard one. You know what a Freudian slip is, don't you, Sheena? It's when you say one thing and mean another. And that Peel report led to pretty much 100% of births moving to the hospital. Now, why was that report so successful? Well, my guess is because it had the support of the power holders, which were predominantly medics rich in masculine energy. Now, this new NICE guideline, I hope beyond hope that it has far-reaching implications, but I'm not sure that it will have. Three highlights of my National Health Service. I think the first time I was with a mother who gave birth to her baby, and she was the first person to touch her baby. I hadn't been involved in touching the baby at all, and she gave birth sort of like kneeling up, and the baby was born into some pillows, if you like, and she was the first to slowly make contact with the baby. I think that I'm feeling moved as I think about it now. That would be one highlight. Passing my midwifery exam was another. I got kicked out of school in year 11 for being disruptive, and got into nursing and midwifery through the General Nurse Council test. And I've always lived under that illusion that I don't have what it takes academically to succeed. And I think passing that exam was a big one for me. And I'm thinking for a third example. And I think the third example was when I was looking after a woman who was 15, and the room was crowded with all sorts of people. You know, looking back on it, it wasn't conducive really for the kind of environment that we've spoken about already. A mum was there, a dad was there, the partner was there, loads of people, and she was on a rocking chair, rocking backwards and forwards. And in the background was James Brown singing, "I Feel Good," doodin, 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 doodin. And as she rocked backwards and forwards, the head started to come up, and then the head crowned. And for every midwife, crowning is such a fantastic experience when you know that the baby's on the way, and you're seeking to keep your adrenaline under control. And the baby was born onto her chest, and she's crying, her granddad's crying, her dad's crying, and I'm crying, and you realise in that moment that no matter how many births you're at, and I'm feeling emotional as I even talk about it now, that no two are the same. It was wonderful, and it will live in my memory until I stop breathing. One of the things that comes from that is, you know, I ran a programme for people under 20 who were pregnant or had children. And the power of language, you know, when it comes to influencing other people's meaning making is so important and underestimated. I know you don't underestimate it, Sheena. But the word teenage or young mum, teenage mum, we need to banish it in my view, because attached to it are unconscious references in people that are not particularly positive. I would much prefer we spoke about parents under 20 or mothers who are under 20. Those kind of ways of speaking do not have the same kind of connotation, really. Yes, I have got a book out. There is some discussion about what the title will be. At the moment, the title is Men, Love and Birth. It's a book really inspired by my work with men, inspired also about a growing awareness of what it means to be truly present for life, present for what's going on in your life and what's around you. You could say presence, you could say love, all of these things are synonyms really. You know, when I held my dying wife in my arms, I knew in that moment that life would not turn out how it should. You know, because the way life should have turned out back then was that we should have grown old together and all of those kind of things. And she was dying in my arms. I knew that life does not turn out how it should. It turns out how it does. And the truth of the matter is that life is turning out in this moment. We tend to live our lives in an illusory future about how life will be, or we remonstrate about the past, about stories we tell ourselves about the past, when actually life is turning up in this moment. This is it. It's all I have.